everyone. Kind of a bit phlegmy here in the mornings. Apologize. There we go. Good morning. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving, or at least a nice long weekend. If you get the Friday off, Black Friday off. Yeah, back on schedule though. Last week was a bit of a funky week due to time commitments and such, but we're back. I think 9 a.m. is gonna be the new time. 10 a.m. is too late. I didn't like it. I like 8 a.m., but it really only works well when I wake up early enough, and you know, Sundays are hard to fall asleep. Got the especially after a long weekend, so not as easy to wake up today. So 9 a.m. I think it's a good in between, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, 9 a.m. going forward. But I kind of just got a bunch of cool stories I kind of over the weekend here. Hopefully interesting, bit offbeat, bit of a off the usual news path here. And yeah, probably gonna try and do a long one. I just want to string for longer. I really enjoy it, and it gives me more opportunity to find people to get in front of people. So yeah, we're just gonna rip it. Starting with Google. Also, wait, before we start, let's watch. I made a long short. I made a new short, but it was long. It was longer, but we could watch it about Axon, which we covered on stream, and then I saw a funny one. Let's just watch both of these and just to get going, and then we'll jump into the news. So browsing, and I'm also vertical. I'm doing vertical today. I'm gonna have to play around more with vertical too. I actually have it up on my phone too, so I could actually kind of see how it looks. Yeah. Actually, let me test something else, because there's like new shorts features on okay, maybe not. I don't know. Like where you could like go live and it will show on your shorts, but I think that's just there. Yeah, it's not that. Okay. Let's watch. Let's get it going. I'm watching a short form video on my short form stream. Oh wait, desktop audio. All right. For its body cameras and tasers, Mistral AI Axon, known for its body cameras and tasers, has introduced an AI-powered report writing tool called Draft One. Draft One transcribes audio from body-worn cameras and generates police reports in seconds. Axon claims it reduces time needed to complete a report from around 23 minutes. Yeah, I kind of just trying to like one take it mainly, and I kind of stuttered here, and so I kind of actually broke it up, and it's several takes, but yeah, it's not perfect, but I just gotta, you know, I just have to release it, you know, and just figure it out. I could tweak it forever, so just like whatever. And also on mobile, even though it shows gaps here, like on my phone, it's actually cut in like a lot more. So like I need to take that into account next time. 8 minutes, allowing officers to focus on more critical tasks. Currently, Draft One uses OpenAI's GPT-4 Turbo, generating results with film. Like I had the GPT-4 Turbo I spliced in there. The blank style sections where officers must review and complete missing details. While this appears efficient, concerns remain if it actually saves time. A recent study suggests that time saving may not be as significant as Axon claims. Officers spend as much time reviewing and correcting AI-generated reports as they would writing them from scratch. There's also the issue of AI inaccuracies or hallucinations where false information is generated. Identifying and correcting these errors falls on the officer. Those strategies like retrieval augmented generation or lowering the AI model's temperature could help reduce inaccuracies. Additionally, legal concerns are mounting. Lawyers worry that the reliance on AI-generated reports could lead to critical details being missed or errors introduced, potentially complicating court cases. The King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office in Seattle has already advised police against using AI for report writing, citing inaccuracy and accountability issues. Ultimately, local district attorneys who must defend these reports in court will likely influence whether AI tools like Draft One are widely adopted. While Axon claims to revolutionize police reporting, its effectiveness and legal risks remain uncertain. So what do you think? Is the potential time saved worth the risk of inaccuracies, or should we err on the side of caution when using AI in law enforcement? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more AI and emerging tech news. Thanks for watching. This. Boom. That's what I worked on over the weekend. Took way longer than I was expecting. Mainly because I was using a new video editing software, but yeah, my video editing workflow is still early, still in its early days. But I just need to make more videos outside of streaming to draw people to the stream. Like, there's really no question about it. So I just gotta bunker down and do it. And then this was actually part of the stream the other day. I just thought it was a funny moment for this fucking job Joel title. Meyer, Domino Labs public sector president and former Homeland Security Strategic Initiatives Deputy Assistant. Is this a joke, bro? Okay. Domino Labs public sector president and former Homeland Security Strategic Initiatives Deputy Assistant Secretary. Bro, this is a joke. Homeland Security Strategic Initiatives Deputy Assistant Secretary. Yes, Joel. Yeah, I just thought that was funny. Also, the Twitch tool to directly, I made this all on Twitch and it uploaded it directly to Twitch or to YouTube from Twitch. Like, it was actually super good for the tool is really easy and it actually helped out quite a bit. Like, it was, yeah, it was like 2 minutes just like timing it, and then yeah, they did everything else for you. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. But now I just got to get a few shorts that actually have good views. Because I'm still trying to figure that out. Like yeah, I mean, this one I uploaded last week, but yeah, this just did not take off as much as like this one did. Even I uploaded around the same time, but I think this one's just too boring. Like, it's more niche. This one just like is just funny, I guess. But it has good watch time, but it's probably because it's short. Yeah, and my stream just don't really get much views, so. But yeah, just trying to figure it out. What's my audience? Got 4 viewers. Male, 25 to 35. It's probably myself. But anyways, let's jump into the news here. This stand here in a sec. Drinking that mushroom coffee. It's doing good. All right. Okay, let me try and line up the shorts. Yeah, like it's yeah, on my phone it's a lot smaller. The edges are in a lot more. Yeah, this is perfect right here. Maybe even down a little more. I know not everyone has the same phone as me, but okay, that looks good. I wish it could be taller. Did I crop this? Oh, that's just my Windows bar. All right, it's gonna have to do. It's not the best, but ooh, actually, what if I move it up like this? Yeah, that works. That works. All right. Okay. Okay. Google. Okay, so the reason why we're starting with this story, though, I guess, just to start it off, and let me actually check the audio. Okay, we're good on audio. The reason we're starting with this story is actually because we covered this on the stream one of my first like weeks of streaming, where it was actually beef between Microsoft and Google. Microsoft was saying that Google was doing unfair practices, doing shady stuff with all these kind of association style things in Europe to influence like lawmakers and get smaller cloud providers like on their side to create this this like CISP type of thing, which is a it's like some European association for cloud providers. And Google kind of denied it, and they didn't really they weren't really like advertising it. They were going through like, you know, third parties, like lobbyist type of groups, and they were essentially offering these cloud providers money or in the form of Google Cloud Compute credits to kind of be on Google's side, so Google could sway members of like the European Union or like European governments to be on their side for like antitrust for like a Google Cloud, and so this seems to be a continuation of that, or there's like more kind of evidence in the saga here. And it was interesting because essentially Microsoft was going after Google in the public, and I don't know, that's just kind of like uncharacteristic, I guess, to take these fights public. They're more like proxy fights, I guess, like Cold War style, but Microsoft just like straight up like went for it and like called them out. So yeah, kind of interesting. So this is a continuation here. This was on Thursday, Thanksgiving. So yeah. Let's continue. So Google offered millions to its allies with trade body fighting Microsoft. Yeah, so yeah. I'm trying to remember. There was like another part where there's another like trade group association where Microsoft that was suing Microsoft, and I think this might be what it is. And then for Microsoft charging less for licenses on Azure for Windows Server than whereas like if they were a provider like Google were to sell Windows licenses on Google Cloud Platform, they would need to pay more. And so Microsoft was advertising like you could pay less for Windows licenses on our cloud platform, and whereas like it was impossible based off of like terms that other cloud providers could sell it for less than what Microsoft was. So that was kind of unfair there, where Microsoft was like purposely undercutting its competition, I guess. And they settled, but then Google wanted to go harder. They wanted to actually like pursue more. So yeah, anyways. Let's continue. So Google Cloud dangled hundreds of millions of euros worth of financial incentives to ally itself with an association of European cloud providers that had lodged a complaint against Microsoft, according to confidential documents seen by the Register. Amit Zavery, former vice president in Google Cloud Platform, presented to a selection of members of the Cloud Infrastructure Service Provider in Europe, CISP. Yeah, this is the group, Cloud Infrastructure Service Providers in Europe. Trade body. Then to board and finally to then to the board and finally to the entire organization, according to sources that asked to remain anonymous. Yeah, so Amit Zavery, who works for Google, presented this bribe essentially to the board, to this trade body here. In the presentation seen by us, Zavery offered to provide a members innovative fund of €4 million, which Google described as $100,000 per member to be used as, quote, immediate funding for projects and license fees of CISP members to support innovation in open cloud ecosystems. Like, it's marketing speak for a bribe, essentially. CISP actually has 36 members now, including Oxia, LeaseWeb, UpCloud, and AWS, the latter being the only non-European participant. We got AWS. The number has grown from 27 in July. Google also offered to contribute an additional €10 million to the Trades Association, described in the presentation as participating in membership resources. Another bribe. The final and most substantial incentive was €100 million of software credits of Google Distributed Cloud, effectively free software for Kubernetes-based cloud deployments. Kubernetes being like distributed cloud like framework, which is popular, and you could obviously use a Google Cloud platform. Yeah, so I mean, essentially these are just progressively increasing bribes for the CISP members. According to Google's to a Google spokesperson, the offer was €100 million spread over 5 years, which is really like nothing to Google if it gets them what they want. Under the title, quote, considerations, Google's presentation states members' innovation fund and software platform would be available to current CISP members, provided the organization remains unrestricted in its ability to promote and advance the fair software licensing principles. Yes, and this is relevant because they're saying that Microsoft was unfairly licensing their software, which I think they talk about here. So the Register understands, based on conversations with CISP sources, this was intended to convince the group to, quote, carry on the complaint against Microsoft over licensing, a policy which makes it inordinately more expensive to run Microsoft software in third-party cloud infrastructure. The complaint was filed by CISP in November 2022. Yeah, and so this is where I'm saying, where I was talking about where I explained it very poorly and in a lot of words before, but Microsoft charges less licensing, less to license software on their cloud infrastructure versus competitors. So if Microsoft has Azure, if I wanted a Windows 11 or Windows Server license, let's say Microsoft offers it for $50, the other cloud service providers can't even sell it for less than $50 because Microsoft, sets licensing restrictions, and so like Microsoft unfairly undercut the other cloud service providers, and is now using that to kind of draw people to their platform. Whereas, not realistic, but I guess for the European Union and that law, that's kind of antitrust, monopolistic behavior, because you're kind of setting restrictions on your competition. Google denies the two were linked, as in the them wanting to promote and advance fair software license principles and their bribes, essentially. Despite these advances from Google, CISP opted to settle this dispute with Microsoft, understood to include a payment between €10 million and €30 million, and Microsoft is working on an enhanced version of Azure Local, last weekend rebranded from Stack HCI. Okay, for CISP members that includes features Microsoft customers use today. Interesting. And I think a part of it too is that a lot of these other cloud, smaller cloud cloud providers, a lot of times they're actually just repackaging AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, kind of the large ones, because they're so cheap. So they're essentially repackaging them, and so they kind of offer these other incentives to use their platforms, like this Azure Local, that members of the cloud infrastructure, the CISP could use. So yeah, I don't know the politics behind this fully, but yeah. Azure Local is designed to be an enterprise project for larger organizations that want to create a private cloud in their own infrastructure using Azure Local. It is a multi-tenant, multi-service environment, and Microsoft has until April to get it up and running. It is being trailed by CISP members now. Trialed by CISP members now, as we understand. Yeah, okay. So it allows you. So yeah, I mean, Azure, Microsoft's cloud, Google, or Microsoft's cloud server. Oh my gosh, Microsoft's cloud compute offering. You could run it on your own infrastructure. I think this is good for CISP members because if you run a smaller cloud, service, you could run Azure now on your hardware and then kind of resell that to organizations who maybe already have Azure and want to pay less for what you're offering as a smaller cloud service provider. That's kind of what I'm taking that at, like what Azure, why that's beneficial to the CISP members. It's been a long battle with Microsoft, and CISP members are tired and want to have something to solve. The licensing problem, rather than more war, which is what Google was offering, said a well-placed source in CISP. There has been recognition from Microsoft that mistakes were made on purpose or otherwise that limits European players. Instead, Google joined a trade group called Open Cloud Coalition, comprised mostly of relatively small UK cloud providers and one based in Spain. And we did take a look at this too, because I don't remember what the original source was where we read it on, but it might have been The Verge or Ars Technica, but they essentially hired this like marketing lobbyist agency to set up this open cloud coalition as like a proxy where Google isn't like directly involved, like their name's not on it. Like they may be a part of the coalition, but they're not saying that they're running it, even though they actually are and were like paid people to set it up as a kind of other trade group that could pump Google's narrative, essentially. I mean, like there's not really like a way of hiding it really, but yeah, so that's kind of the what like Google's goal in starting this was. Yeah, and here anyways, this may well be used to lobby officials in the UK's Competition and Markets Authority, which launched an ongoing probe into the health of local cloud markets last year, as well as the antitrust authorities and European Commission that in September received a complaint from Google over Microsoft's alleged anti-competitive cloud software licensing dominance. So Google's tattletaling on Microsoft to the European Union about their anti-competitive software licensing, which is what CISP seems like was pushing. So yeah, I mean it's all like Google's just playing the politics now at this point. Microsoft previously described OCC, Open Cloud Coalition, as an AstroTurf group organized by Google designed to discredit Microsoft with competition authorities and policymakers and mislead the public. In as much as Microsoft would push and do the same thing, and they kind of are in a way, that is exactly what Google's doing. It's an AstroTurf group, like fake grassroots kind of organization. So I mean, AstroTurf's usually used in more like political in more like politically driven sectors like oil and climate change, where it's like these Chevron will start a quote like grassroots. That's why it's like grassroots AstroTurf, kind of it's Astro's fake, grassroots is real, I guess. So it's kind of like that the fake grassroots to kind of push a narrative that they want, when in reality it's not actually people starting and like going after something they're passionate about. It's a large corporation just pumping a narrative via a look-alike grassroots program that's actually just paid marketing or paid lobbyists doing it. Google's doing the same exact thing, and this came from a statement straight from Microsoft, from one of their lawyers that wrote on Microsoft blog, like on their website they wrote this. So it's kind of crazy, but yeah, it's exactly what this Open Cloud Coalition is meant to do. But Microsoft isn't as guilty, you know. It's like it's coming from out of one mouth into the other, I guess. Like it's Microsoft's just as guilty for doing shit like this. Anyways, for its part, Open Cloud Coalition says its mission is to, quote, advocate for open standards and eliminate restrictive licensing and other barriers that stifle competition and innovation, collaborate with policymakers to shape fair regulations and build solid evidence base for a competitive cloud market, and ensure governments support diverse cloud providers, policies, and improve security and reliability and stimulate innovation. And I mean, that's essentially just marketing speak for what Microsoft said here, you know, about how it's an astroturf group organized by Google designed to discredit Microsoft with competition authorities, policymakers, and mislead the public. Yeah, this is Google saying that, but in like, you know, okay terms, you know, acceptable terms. Google's concerned that as more customers opt to ditch their own data center in favor of using infrastructure provided by cloud providers, Microsoft will convert its on-premise customer base into Azure license payers. Yeah. I mean, of course, like the Azure local thing would benefit Microsoft still. Like that's without say, but Google's just still butthurt. Google's concerned that as more customers opt to ditch their own data center in favor of using infrastructure provided by cloud providers, Microsoft will convert its, yeah, I mean, yeah. But Google should be concerned, but how about you just make a superior product and just, you know, you don't really have to worry, just so your product's better. McKinsey research reckons 68% of businesses are running fewer than half of their workloads in the cloud. And so the race is on between the three hyperscalers to convince those customers to be the infrastructure of choice. Yeah, they're trying to convince businesses to move away from their local infrastructure and onto their cloud providers. And considering 68% are running, like, still a good chunk of their so McKinsey researchers reckon 68% of businesses are running fewer than half of their workloads in the cloud. Yeah, so there's still a good chunk of business that they could capture where people are running on their local infrastructure and not on cloud environments still. So they're kind of racing to that. But, you know, I don't know. There's enough pie for everyone right now, I think. And it's going to continue to grow. But just make a better product. I mean, what do you have to worry if you just have a better product? And I mean, as Azure, you know, and to be fair, like my Azure is like, I think, okay, well, Google Cloud platform is, I think, much larger than Azure. Not much larger, but it's larger than Azure, or at least growing at at a faster rate. And so, like, I don't know what Google's like too scared about. I mean, they're growing faster, or like they're bigger, or just as big. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess it sucks because instead of good old competition, which is like what like our current open markets are supposed to promote, we're kind of going, you know, I don't know, the non-competitive route and just, you know, doing political lobbying to get what you want instead of like actually like, yeah, innovating and making better products. So like, I don't know. Google's just seems to be butthurt. Microsoft may have paid off CISP, or so the argument goes, but the majority of the market is still dominated by AWS, Microsoft, and Google. And in this area, the software licensing policies from Microsoft are still said to be unfair. Microsoft charges customers 4 times more to license some of its wares, software, Windows Server, for example, in non-Azure clouds. Okay, yeah, so this is essentially what I was saying, where it's like Microsoft, you essentially can't charge the same rate that Microsoft charges on their cloud environment for Windows Server, because of what Microsoft charges you to like license it. This was based on changes Microsoft made in 2019. Google hasn't seen backwards in calling out what it sees a customer being forced to pay a Microsoft, quote, software tax. A spokesperson at CISB told the Register today, "I can confirm that CISB members were presented with alternative options to accepting the Microsoft deal. I cannot reveal any of the terms. However, the members voted by a significant majority to accept the Microsoft offer, which in their view presented the best opportunity for the European cloud sector." All right. I mean, I guess if the trade union like feels as though it's fair, then I mean, it's fair. I mean, I guess they say it. I mean, like they probably didn't have that much of a choice realistically, but yeah. A spokesperson at CISB told the Register, oh yeah, we already did that. Amit Zavery, the former vice president at Google's cloud platform, who last month left to become the chief operating officer at ServiceNow. That's okay. Wait, what is ServiceNow? Is this a cloud platform? They're just like a lot like IT infrastructure company. These are like one of those companies where it's like you don't actually know what they do. They're like, yeah, we do like, IT, infrastructure software. And like unless you work with like in that sector, you just don't get it. I going to a company like that, it's like I have no idea what they do. Was previously asked on a press conference call in September if Google had offered to pay to keep CISB complaint against Microsoft running. And this is Amit Zavery. "We basically work with many vendors to provide them support to continue advocating for fair and open license practices, and we believe in that philosophy, and we do continue supporting that if there are vendors out there who require that support, we continue to help them and have the latest technology and choose what technology they want to use and pick whatever makes sense for them." That was like a nothing burger. That was like such non-speak. Like that was worthless. A senior Google communications professional then stepped in during the conference call and to add, "Yeah, I'd answer more directly. No, we did not." Yeah, because like this meant nothing. Dang, they just said straight up, we did not. Google told us today, "Google Cloud has long supported the principles of fair software licensing. We were having discussions about joining as a member to help CISB continue to fight against anti-competitive licensing and promote choice, innovation, and the growth of the digital economy in Europe." In Q2 this year, Synergy Research told us the cloud infrastructure market in Europe generates $16 billion in spending. AWS had a market of 32%, Microsoft took 26%, and Microsoft and Google 15%. So Google's European. Oh yeah, yeah, the European Google's behind in the European market by actually a lot. I take back what I said. Dang. So yeah, it's Google's fighting these proxy wars. I like reading the comments because I'm always interested to hear what people say. The incentive was 100 million. Here, stop using MS and their crack. Come with me. Jesus, okay, bro. Yeah, the Register is. I mean, this is like definitely like an anti-big tech. I'm sure. Like this is like hardcore tech people. $100 million equals first hit free. Yeah. Trained bullshitter. Like these are. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, Google's taken a beating lately. Because then we have, this is what I was going to cover next here. This up on shorts. Yeah, but Google's taking a beating. This isn't even because like between this and then the whole Digital Markets Act in Europe or whatever, like, and where they have to offer like third-party app stores and payments through there, and then between their ad monopoly or Google search monopoly, and then there's also an ad monopoly, like Google's taking a beating. But I mean, it's a long time coming. I mean, when you do shady stuff like exactly what we just read, like, yeah, bro, like, sorry. That's what happens. You kind of don't play the game too fairly. Okay. This is a long one, but I haven't really been keeping up too well with this because I just don't think it's gonna like come to fruition anytime soon. I still think stuff is years out. And so I think it's still a lot of speculation, but I just don't think really much is gonna come from this anytime soon, if at all. Covered it a little bit on previous stream, but yeah. Breaking down the DOJ's plan to end Google's search monopoly. Selling Chrome might not be the most painful part of the DOJ's antitrust demand for Google. Okay. Just checking in. Streams are good. Okay. Next year, a court might tell Google to do anything from syndicating its search results to selling the Chrome browser. Wait, next year, a court might tell Google to do anything from syndicating its search results. Yeah. Selling Chrome browser. Yeah, I think something along the lines of like for their search where like you need to provide like everyone with like the ability to like access their search data or something. Or search results? I don't know about that one. These remedies and more were included in a request last week from the Justice Department, which is aiming to break up Google's search monopoly. The DOJ's proposal clued in the public to what the government really wants out of Google. Though the complaint was filed in 2020, the first phase of the trial focused only on whether Google was liable for the antitrust harms the government alleged. After Judge Amit Mehta ruled this summer, that's a cool last name, ruled this summer that Google is an illegal monopolistic in general search services, is an illegal monopolist in general search services, jeez, and in search text advertising. General search services and search text advertising. That's an interesting classification. The government has finally laid out its plan for how to restore competition, with proposals ranging from relatively simple tweaks in business practices to large structural changes. Yeah, I mean, realistically, large structural changes would probably be the way to actually ensure that changes were made, but like likely it's going to be relatively simple tweaks in business practices. The remedies the DOJ is seeking would imperil Google's ability to compete in its core business of search and search advertising, says David Halliday, teaching associate professor of strategic management and public policy at George Washington School of Business. Judge Mehta accepting these remedies wouldn't be quite as big deal as breaking up Standard Oil, but this would be a bigger deal, dang, I think, than breaking up AT&T. Interesting. If Meta accepts only some of these proposals after a 2-week trial in April, Google might be in better shape, but it could still see billions of dollars shaved off its empire. And according to experts watching the case, attention-grabbing options like a Chrome sale may not be the biggest threat to Google's power. Dang. Selling Chrome. The DOJ says Google should be forced to sell Chrome because, as the largest browser by market share, it serves as a critical access point for search. It's installed by default on Android phones and captures around 60% of the US browser market. The goal here is to keep Google from owning a crucial gatekeeping platform that it can use to funnel users to its own search engine and steer them away from others. In practice, the proposal raises a lot of questions about how a sale would impact the web. Yeah, that's I understand like how essentially they could force people to use Google if you use Google Chrome without giving them other options. But I just don't know the logistics of selling something like Chrome and who would get, like, whoever gets it just like gets a lot of power in general. Like, even, you know, like outside of Google, it's like, who would they even give it to? Like, no way Microsoft, because like that would just be way too powerful. And they already have Edge, which is actually based on Chrome using Chromium. Like, there's like Oracle, which I seems like maybe the big like one option, like IBM. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, here we go. There are several options for potential buyers. Rumble, the anti-cancel culture video platform, has already declared its interest. Bro, no offense, Rumble, but you cannot afford this. And that, I think that's the next thing, is like, it would, like, Google Chrome alone is just worth billions of dollars, and so like who could even afford that if they were to actually sell it instead of like giving it off? Bloomberg Intelligence senior tech analyst Mandeep Singh says most other big tech companies that might want it, like Amazon and Meta, would likely be blocked as potential antitrust threats. Yeah, exactly. It's like everyone, it's like so powerful. Apple might be an exception. Bro, they have Safari. They have their own like antitrust issues. Apple might be an exception, Singh says, if the government wants to incentivize its developing a rival search engine, something Google highly discouraged with a lucrative revenue share deal. That said, Apple already owns a major browser, which would consolidate the tech market in a different way. Yeah, exactly. Depending on who buys Chrome, the court could also approve conditions that constrain how a buyer leverages it. That's interesting. And it's interesting because Google Chrome is built on Chromium, which is like, you know, open source, because that's how Microsoft uses to build Edge. I'm using Brave. That's how it uses Brave. I think Opera GX uses Chrome. You know, other like some of the largest browsers outside of Chrome are also just Chrome behind the scenes. And so like that's an interesting it's an interesting like dynamic, because in actually Google's favor, because it's actually already an open platform. Anyone could create a Google Chrome alternative right now if they wanted, you know, or like a Chrome competitor in a way, if they wanted, to an extent. There's obviously limitations, but you know, that's kind of an interesting dynamic that I wonder if they'll bring up here, but something to keep in back of your mind. Outside the standard big tech players, Chrome could also be valuable to large language model companies like OpenAI or Anthropic, where it could provide a distribution channel for the AI chatbots. Yeah, but that's no different than forcing Google search onto people's throats. Like that's what I'm saying, where it's like passing it to another big tech company. They could just do the same thing with a different product. Like I feel like that doesn't change much. Like you might as well just like, you know, I don't know if that like does any good. Chrome as an independent entity doesn't generate any revenue, Singh notes. Its value lies in having a huge audience to monetize, so plugging it into another search-based product, especially if the DOJ wins other remedies like data sharing rules, is a likely prospect. Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, that's a good point, and that's why Google, like, it's valuable to Google, I guess, to feed it into, you know, their other products, search, any, you know, a revenue-driven product. Anything with ads, essentially. Yeah. So I guess, you know, if another company were to take it over, they would have to do the same thing to drive it to a revenue driving, you know, something that gives them money, that makes money from it. And like, how's that any different than Google just forcing it on them you to use Google search? I don't know. Like, pick your poison, essentially. Will this actually create a better, more competitive environment for search engines, or will it just give another company, perhaps even a massive one like Microsoft, which works closely with OpenAI, its own anti-competitive advantage? There's definitely an issue about whether you're just simply transferring a valuable asset from one company where these assets were too tightly integrated to another company, says Shubha Ghosh. I'm sorry if the name's not right. Director of the Intellectual Property Law Institute at Syracuse University. DuckDuckGo SVP of Public Affairs, Camille Bazbaz. That's a cool last name. They got a lot of cool last names in this article. Says the judge in DOJ should be thoughtful about how to make sure that a sale doesn't result in creating another space that's hard to compete for all search engines. Yeah. I mean, people like DuckDuckGo, companies like DuckDuckGo, like feel that because they're kind of being pinched out. Although DuckDuckGo is still very popular, but it's no Google. But even if a company like OpenAI can tie a browser with its search products, Singh says it wouldn't necessarily have the same impact on the market. When you think about the time spent on the internet as an aggregate, Google still has the most time spent, thanks to everything from YouTube to Gmail, says Singh. That makes it a unique powerhouse for advertising, which is fundamentally how search engines and likely eventually some AI services make money. You can't replicate engagement. Yeah. And I mean, Google's still essentially an advertising business. They have, you know, Google Cloud Platform, Pixel, but outside of Google Cloud Platform, most stuff is still to drive it to its advertising products. So the DOJ says Google would also need to spin out its open source browser project Chromium. Yeah, this is what Chrome is built on. This is what I was talking about earlier, which helps power the Brave, Opera, and Microsoft Edge browsers as part of the Chrome sale. The Nonpartisan Consumer Choice Center has expressed concern over this outcome, saying it could put the project, quote, in jeopardy. Singh seems less concerned, saying open source projects may take its own course, but that's still a significant risk for browser makers that rely on it. Yeah, but to be fair, I think at least people like Brave and Microsoft Edge, I don't know about Opera. Brave is like a legit like company now. They have other products outside of the browser, but kind of like talked about earlier, like they drive you to revenue driving sources. Like Brave has their search engine. They have ads within their browser, but you could opt out of. Their Brave search has ads, which you could block. But essentially they're using the same kind of what word am I thinking of? Business model. Jesus Christ. They're using the same business model. Oh, yo, what's up? They're kind of using the same business model as Google, you know, Brave, with driving people to revenue driving products. So again, it's like, and the fact that they're yeah, it's funny. Thanks. The fact that Brave uses Chromium, though, I don't think matters as much as this they've been saying here, because I think large players like Brave and Microsoft Edge are kind of expecting Chromium to come to an end, or them going to have to break off from Chromium with the restrictions that Google's putting on like ad blocking and things. And a lot of times they're heavily customized anyways, that I don't even think it matters that much if Chromium goes away, because they'll just continue developing it themselves. I don't know about Opera, but like, you know, I don't know, Brave I think is like a legit like organization now, and same with Microsoft Edge. Like I think they could just fork it and kind of go their own way. But yeah, this is about how Google breaking up, or the DOJ breaking up Google, breaking down the DOJ's plan and Google's search monopoly. All right, depending on what restrictions a buyer faces, Chrome could offer a huge distribution channel for whatever other products they offer. For consumers, the browser experience will likely depend on who ends up buying it. A company that already has a savvy browser building team like Apple, or a company or group without that specialized experience like a private equity firm. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't really been covering it that much just because I don't think that anything significant is going to come from it, but I don't know, it could be wrong. I don't think anything anytime soon, but yeah. They said April next year is when the hearing is, but I don't know how Trump can influence that. Selling off Chrome won't necessarily mean its users stop going to google.com, whose name has been synonymous with the search engine for decades. I think Google search will still be the most visited page, says Singh, but it's just the ad business. When you think about why the ads shown on Google are so effective, Chrome is a big part of that. Yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of what the argument is, where one of the options is Google selling off Chrome, but it's like whoever you sell it to, it's like if it's another big tech company, like they're just gonna inherit the monopolistic powers that Google had. Just now you're shifting it to one company to another. So that's kind of where like they're kind of going back and forth, kind of saying how like selling off Chrome might have like cascading effects for other markets like search, the browser market, and influencing it, because I mean Chromium, if the DOJ says Chromium would need to spin off its open source browser project too, and so it's like there's other companies that rely on that, and so it's gonna have like almost a cascading effect. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of like, it's an interesting like problem, I guess. But I don't think that they would do, I just don't know if they would actually have them sell off Chrome. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, so avoiding self-preferencing. Google show, give it away to Proton. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that'd be an interesting turn of events. All right. The Chrome sale is a part of a larger project, stopping Google from using all of its many tools and platforms to unfairly promote each other. The government says Google should be barred in particular from preferencing its search engine on other services. That means avoiding things like making Google search mandatory on Android or degrading the quality of competing products there. I mean, Android's this whole other kind of like behemoth, and I think this Android is kind of getting dragged into this where selling Android, like the operating system and everything, the ecosystem was, or spinning it off was another option. But I think that would actually be more detrimental than a Chrome, because yeah, Android, like having there's only essentially two phone operating systems, iOS that Apple has, and now Android that Google has, and like having that, I think, is more powerful than Google Chrome, considering how much more phones are used now and how much control that kind of gives you. Yeah, but I do it does suck that you have to use a Google account on an Android. Same with you have to use an Apple account, have an Apple account for a iPhone. Like, I just don't like that. Yeah, I don't know. But Apple is getting totally like skirting all of these huge lawsuits, especially with Android. Like, they're equally, if not more, guilty on a lot of these things, and Google is just getting dragged, like, at the back and like behind the boat, right now. Like, I don't know, they're just kind of in the spotlight, but Apple is equally as guilty, and they're just skirting by here somehow. Google would essentially be forbidden from managing a search engine that did anything other than collect people who went to google.com or set their preferences at google.com, says Halliday. It would actually allow all of their competitors much more flexibility than Google. That's interesting. The DOJ wants the judge to prohibit Google from doing things like giving its own search text ads, or AI products preferential access to Android or Google-owned apps data. I mean, that's what they have right now, though. So, relative to competitors, finish that. That means Google couldn't do things like make its Gemini AI products mandatory on Android devices or degrade the quality of rival products on Android. Yeah, that's fair, but I mean, Apple would do the same shit. make its Gemini AI products mandatory on Android devices or degrade the quality of other products. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. That's just Apple's doing the same thing with Apple Intelligence, though. Yeah, that's interesting, though. All right, selling precious data. The demand that Google sell Chrome might be the DOJ's most eye-catching proposal, but another section could be an even bigger deal. The government wants Google to syndicate the very data its search engine is built upon, disrupting a self-reinforcing cycle that helps Google stay on top. Yeah, this is crazy, and I don't know if this would actually go through. Where like they're essentially like distributing Google search results data that everyone could like access it or build another search engine upon. Like nationalizing Google search data. So I don't know, putting it like that's a more interesting frame, but yeah. The DOJ says that Google gobbled up access points to search engines, its huge volume of search queries that gave it another advantage. Access points to search engines? Yeah, I wonder. It got more information than any competitor about which search results people find useful, and the government argues that makes it impossible for anyone to catch up. How, though? Or like, how did they get that? The result is that Google faces little competitive pressure to keeping its services better, which, even if it got the best search engine in the business, may end up making users' experience worse. If you don't like AI summaries injected on the top of your search results, for instance, do you want the engine using them to be the only game in town? It faces little competitive pressure to keep making its services better. Yeah. Okay. But okay, so this is a theme though, because just in the last article where this was like that beef that I covered a few weeks ago between Microsoft and Google in Europe, and Microsoft had like a public post like shitting on Google for like bribing this like CISP. Google essentially Google seems like it's just mad that Microsoft and AWS are ahead of them, and it's just like, dude, just make a better product, actually compete, in an open market like we have, and like, what's the issue? It's like, if just make a better product, and you should have no issue, bringing customers over to your platform, I guess. I know there's like lock-in and all that kind of stuff, but Google's just butthurt that they're not, on top, and so they want to go the route of lobbying the government to, get restrictions on their competitors, when it's just like, bro, just make a better product. And this is kind of in the same theme where it's like they just don't care to make a better product, and they just want to kind of keep like the status quo in a way, when it's just like, okay, make a better product and you don't have to worry about people leaving their services. But I guess the argument is that it's hard for other products to compete because of Google's data. Yeah, exactly. We only free markets when it suits us. No, I mean that's actually what it is, And I mean, like, this is like totally not related, but kind of related, where it's like, I mean, corporations want free markets until that their company's failing, and then they want a government bailout. It's like, okay, it's like, I thought you liked capitalism. Like, to me, it's like, okay, the government bailing you out is like, I don't know, doesn't really seem like very capitalistic to me. Seems like a corporate, a socialist corporate environment. It's like, the government will bail out corporations, but not its own citizens. That's a bit of a stretch, but I see patterns. I see similar patterns. Okay, continuing. The government's proposal would, in theory, cyberpunk as fuck, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I've been really thinking about ways to bring, like, I just see the overlaps of cyberpunk aesthetics and like, motifs and themes like in today's world, so like the overlap just seems like I just think about it all the time, and I've been thinking about ways to, like, bring it into the stream as just like a bit of a unique something to stand out a bit, just because I enjoy that, but also I genuinely see the overlap, and like, I don't know, I just think it's interesting. This guy I follow, David Shapiro, not related to Ben Shapiro. Yeah, this guy. He's like an AI bro, but he's kind of made more like, now it's more like after AI's kind of automated everything, like then what do we do? And so it's kind of like post-labor economics, and like, you know, what, like after you don't have to work, like kind of like how do you live your life, like what does that change? And it's kind of interesting, but he was like worried that we were going down the AI kind of like destroy humans path, and so his like earlier stuff was kind of a lot about like educating people on like what good AI safety looks like. And then after he kind of realized like the AI safety he thinks is like good enough, he's like switched now to he's like, well, I don't see us being destroyed by AI anymore. I see us going down the cyberpunk dystopia route, and so I need a correct course. And so I'm going to start educating people to make to get us down a more, like essentially solar punkish, more utopia type of route instead of a cyberpunk dystopia one. And I just thought that was funny, where he's like, we're not going to be killed by AIs anymore, but like we're going to become a cyberpunk dystopia. So, but anyways. Yeah, I just very much see that as well, and I feel like it's becoming more so, and I think these next 4 years with Trump is going to be an interesting 4 years in terms of high tech, low life kind of wealth inequality becoming larger. So yeah. Anyways, and I own the domain cyberpunk.gg, which I want to put to use, but just another project. Okay, continuing. The government's proposal would, in theory, change that. So kind of change how Google search results or Google search data is going forward. For 10 years, the DOJ wants Google to syndicate its search results, ranking signals, and query data to competitors at a marginal cost. Bro, that'd be crazy. For 10 years, too. That kind of information would let competing search engines like Microsoft Bing or DuckDuckGo very quickly improve their products. If that happens, search engine's competitive edge would likely center more around the additional product features they offer, anything from privacy to user interface details. Okay, so I think this is kind of like a boomer mentality, though, in a way, where like there's competing search engines like DuckDuckGo, which actually DuckDuckGo though still uses a Bing, like behind the scenes, like most of what they get comes from Bing. So let's just say that, put that out there. But then we have ones like Kagi, which is a Kagi search. They're like a startup, but they're a premium search engine that you pay for. Like you literally pay for the search, which is kind of crazy, but people love it, and they're a profitable company, like, you know. So I mean, there's a market for it. And then we have like Brave Search, which is, you know, an independent index. So like they don't actually rely on ones like they don't actually rely on Bing like DuckDuckGo does. And there's other, you know, search engine competitors, like smaller ones that are popping up that are more niche and everything. But I think though, like for like the more tech literate group, having like Google search is just kind of whatever now. Like we just know that there's other options that we could use that have other features that we value more than like Google's search results, which arguably aren't even that good anymore. And most people, to be honest, aren't really doing much like deep search. Like most of their search queries are just like pretty simple, informative type of searches. So it's like those are just easy in general to produce good results. I don't actually think that this is like would do anything crazy. It's like I think the ranking signals and query data would probably be the most valuable. So you could kind of see what like most people want to like get or like or receive, like kind of what they're querying, so like what they want, like what they're trying to get. I think that would be valuable, but I don't think much outside of that would be anything crazy. I don't know, that I could be totally off, or kind of like naive because I'm in my little own search corner, not really using Google. Maybe the Google Images is like really the only thing I use probably in terms of search. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's interesting, though. I do wonder what how this would improve the products. And I think though they would have to still buy it though, so yeah, I don't know. If I was Google, I would be like, okay. Again, if Google actually if their product was actually just superior, then they would just be like, okay, fine, we'll just make money from this. We'll make money from this. Our search engine will still be the best because we're so confident in our product. And, you know, that's that. But, you know, it seems like they're actually realizing that people just use it because it's the default. I think that's it. And so realistically, once that, you know, there's actually competition, there's other features outside of whatever Google's base, you know, searches provides, I don't know, people might jump ship. And I think Google's kind of scared of that they're realizing that, like, yeah, it's just they don't actually have that superior of a product. It's just that people default to it and they don't really know the other options. I also didn't bring up Yahoo search because I don't even think that they're relevant anymore. Yeah, like Yahoo search. Does Yahoo search, like Yahoo search exist, right? All right, yeah, I guess they do. Good morning, today's December 2nd. Thanks. But I mean, let's be real. This is Yahoo search. This looks exactly like Google. It looks exactly like search. Like they all do look exactly the same. So I mean, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, there's just not much to differentiate yourself, I guess, or no one's really trying. Like this is like it's like they make it look like Google. I mean, here's Brave. Brave has the AI, but Google has AI. Let's just look like I mean, they like, you know, it's like they're essentially the same. I mean it is. Brave has goggles, which is definitely this is unique. I haven't really used them, but it's kind of cool. You could like if I could oh yeah, here we go, about it. Yeah, so it's essentially just like a scripting that you could use to filter search results. So I guess that's something to differentiate yourself. But yeah, Brave has their Brave News I actually use a lot. It's essentially just a search engine for news. But images, bad, honestly. Videos, just YouTube. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's continue. That was a big rant, side tangent rant. Singh called the DOJ's search results remedy the strongest of all the proposals. Google has been able to build up a robust moat through its extensive data collection over the years. Singh says, so if you make that search index available to everyone, then potentially you could see more competition in search as a result of that. I still think that the biggest driver is just that it's just default, and so people just use whatever's default, most like normal people. Google will make money from syndicating this data, but Singh says it won't outweigh losing its huge advantage in search. He predicts it could cut Google's search revenue by up to 10%, comparing the impact to Meta's $10 billion revenue hit after Apple started requiring stricter privacy settings on iOS. Yeah. I mean, It is what it is. If that were to happen, suddenly I mean, it's the same argument for Meta too. It's like, okay, like, yeah, you're required, like, yeah, when you can't like aggressively collect data and people like, and once you give people an option to, you know, not do that, then who would have thought people don't want to do that? And I think it's very similar with Google, where it's just the default. So if like people have an easier way to pick other alternatives, I think though that would just be enough too. Because Google pays, you know, that was a completely separate lawsuit, and it might have actually been a part of this one, but like Google pays, you know, Apple billions of dollars to be the default search engine. They pay, you know, Mozilla Firefox to be the default search engine. They pay all these companies to be the default search engine. And, you know, I think that's really the only biggest reason why it's like, you know, it's a big deal. Like, this is the default one, so that's just people are going to use. If that were to happen, suddenly your LLM search companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, Perplexity, these guys will be a formidable competitor in search. Singh says the reason why people, I didn't even think about, oh my gosh, bro, this is like essentially an AI stream. I didn't even think about any of the AI players. That is where it would be competitive. That is where the data would be useful, I think. Yeah. I've been using Mistral web search for a bit now, and it's pretty good. Perplexity is still good too, but I think I like Mistral because it's built into their chat interface. Yeah. Ordering so-called behavioral remedies is far more likely than a breakup and still quite threatening to Google's bottom line. According to Bloomberg Intelligence litigation analyst Matthew Stettenhelm and Jennifer Rye, a behavioral order is likely to result in loss of the default position and market share. They write in the recent research note, the ultimate impacts will depend on the injunction scope and subsequent user behavior, but they predict a possible net loss upwards of $28 billion. That's a lot of money, but no, that's a good chunk. I think that's a lot of money. I was like, I don't know if that's like enough, but Google's worth only they're like a few $100 billion. So like, I don't know. It's probably not enough actually, but well, Google plans to appeal the ruling. Stettenhelm and Rye predict that the DC District Court decision will be upheld, calling it well-reasoned, thorough, and based on straightforward antitrust framework. Dang. Okay. They think it's be upheld. It's interesting that it's DC District Court too. It may sound surprising for the government to make Google license some of its most valuable data, but Gosh says it's possible. Data is not really protected here per se by intellectual property, says. It's not like Google created the data. They literally scraped it from other people who created it, you know? It's not like Google created the data. They created the platform that allowed the data to be generated. It's like asking who owns a news event, he adds. No, literally. Yeah, it's like headlines. Like, it's like that headline argument. The news is just what happens, and you just have an agency that collects it or observes it. But that doesn't by itself create any kind of property right. That said, Halliday notes that syndication fees will likely almost certainly make Google rich. By rich, I mean less rich than today, he says, but still very, very rich compared to other companies. Yeah. Goodbye to exclusionary search deals. Yeah, and so this is what I was talking about. All right, let's speed through this. Perhaps the most straightforward request is a ban on Google striking exclusionary contracts for preferred placement of its search products on browsers and phones. Google would be banned from entering revenue share agreements to distribute its search products or offer anything of value to Apple, Android phone makers, or browser companies of any kind of default pre-installation or preferred placement. That means an end to things like its multi-billion-dollar deal with Apple for prime placement in Safari and Mac OS and iOS. Yeah, they're paying Apple billions of dollars to be the default search provider on things like Safari for Apple's computers and phones, and they're paying like other search engines like Mozilla for Firefox to be the default search engine. This isn't surprising given how much of the trial focused on that Apple revenue share deal. Okay, so it was this It was this trial that they did that. But ironically, Google may actually benefit from some of these changes. Even if you prevent these contracts from being done between companies and introduce a bidding mechanism, there may not be any other bidder that is willing to pay $20 billion to Apple. But that is not a good argument, because that is essentially saying, I mean, I guess that it could be some free market thing, but it's essentially whoever has the most money like could get it, which exacerbates the monopoly, which Google already has. And so like it just gives it to if it gives it to the highest bidder, then it's whoever has the most money. Whoever has the most money is the biggest company. It's like, I don't know. In that case, if anything, the traffic acquisition costs may go down for Alphabet, and people may still use Google because it has the brand, and these habits are hard to change. And so that may actually be a net benefit to Google. Halliday says prohibiting Google's default agreement for Apple is probably a wash at the end for Google, since it gets to save the money it spent there, but it will likely still impact Google's revenue by reducing the number of people searching on its services. I don't agree, because if Apple were to then change to a different search engine as their default, Google would take that hit like that, because I still think that having the default is more impactful than and people like won't go out of their way to, I mean, I'm sure some portion will, but I think a majority, like, no offense, like normie type who just don't really care will just use whatever's default. The proposed judgment would require choice screens on Chrome and Android for users to select their preferred search engine. This kind of remedy has been tried as an antitrust remedy in Europe, where it's reportedly had little impact on Google's market share. Interesting. If it's like that, if it's like, yeah, you pick a choice, then I could see that being where it's like people just pick whatever they're familiar with. Google, I could see that being the case. But some proponents have pinned the blame on Google, on how Google implemented it, something an independent committee could review here. The state plaintiffs, led by Colorado, are also requesting Google fund a national education program that will inform consumers about the remedies. Wow. That could even include short-term incentive payments to users who voluntarily choose a non-Google default general search engine on a choice screen. That's insane, bro. They'd be paid? It's like, bro, be paid not to use Google? Sign me up. I should be paying me a shit ton. I haven't been using Google in a minute. While competitors to Google Search and Chrome would certainly benefit from many of the remedies, Mozilla, which runs Firefox browser and relies massively on payments from Google, yes, Mozilla, like a significant portion of their revenue, like hundreds of millions of dollars, comes from Google paying them to be the default search engine. Like, if they can't get that all of a sudden, like, but again, it's kind of like it just shows how fragile these like actually large tech companies who you think would be much more robust like actually are. Like, you know, it's like it's kind of this like weird pyramid, you know, domino style ecosystem where it's like Google was like actually kind of supporting a bunch of smaller companies below it with their, you know, default search engine payments. And if they were to stop that, it'd actually probably benefit Google in a way, because these other competitors to some of the Google's products who Google's paying wouldn't be able to like actually like, you know, sustain their business. Look at the stock price and see how fragile they are. I mean, yeah. Back pay, yeah. I mean, I just think yeah, I think that it's like really coming out about Google, like with it. And I do wonder if it's bigger than just like or if there's more of a pattern, like a more abstract, like zoomed out pattern, like if it's only for like advertising businesses, or if it's like certain types of businesses. Because using Meta too is the other example, like, you know, Apple all of a sudden, you know, implemented like one policy and like $10 billion lost, you know. Or maybe it's just advertising. Like, they rely so much on collecting like personal information that if they don't get that, then it really impacts their business. That seems kind of fragile. Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting. Yeah, while competitors to Google search and Chrome would certainly benefit from many of these remedies, Mozilla, which runs the Firefox browser and relies massively on payments from Google, warns that the DOJ's proposal could unnecessarily impact browsers' competition. Mozilla spokesperson Brandon Borman says in a statement that, as written, the remedies will harm independent browsers without material benefit to search competition. During the trial, Google pointed out that Firefox actually did switch to Yahoo search at one point, only to come back to Google after users hated it. That's funny. But it's like, bro, Yahoo's like the worst option. But DuckDuckGo's Baz says the industry could see a rising tide lifts all boats. The theory goes that over time, ad revenue would follow other search engines as they increase in size, helping their revenue share payments to distribute channels like Mozilla, distribution channels like Mozilla make up for the large payments it would lose from Google. And Apple in particular could have a greater incentive to develop its own search competitor without the exclusive agreement, something the government has frequently emphasized. Yeah, but like that I don't know about that, because like Apple is if I were Apple, I would be afraid of more antitrust lawsuits if I were to go down the search engine route, because Apple would just have such a high vertical. Like they would have, like own everything in the vertical of like a, web browser. They essentially be just copying Google's business plan though. It's like, how would that not be monopolistic though, when Apple's like significantly larger than Google? Like if I were Apple, I'd be afraid of the same thing. And I mean, in like my opinion, Apple is more closed off than Google. They're more of a walled garden than Google. They're kind of the original. They're the OG walled garden. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, more transparency for advertisers. Judge Mehta also found Google maintained an illegal monopoly in search text ad market, charging more than a reasonable competitive price for ads while degrading their quality. To remedy that, the government is proposing that Google give advertisers more transparency and control. Under the proposal, Google would have to give advertisers more insight into their ad performance and cost, and give them more options in how their ads are targeted. Google would also have to let advertisers export their search text ad data, making it easier to switch to rivals. And I mean, again, this is kind of Google. It's like they're offering a product. They're essentially just because they're the biggest player, one of the largest players, their product isn't actually superior. The product's arguably, degrading. And then they're butthurt that, it's like, bro, yeah, I don't know. Continue to improve your product like everyone else. And it's like only because you're the largest and biggest person is like why you're in, you're this the popular one. It's like, there's not really other people that they could go to that has the, search engine like Google to target them. So it's like, they could essentially offer a worse service for higher prices just because they have the monopoly. What about Android? There's one demand the government notably didn't make, forcing Google to sell Android, but it says the option should be available should Google fail to comply with other remedies, or if these remedies prove less effective than anticipated. Yeah, and this is correct. I think selling Android is bigger than Chrome. Google is going to have a lot of incentives not to comply, says Adam Epstein, president of and co-CEO of Ad Marketplace, a search advertising marketplace. That really is where the ball game is, and going to get won or lost for the consumer and the advertisers and publishers. In that case, an Android sell-off is one of the final cards the DOJ could play. I see. So it's kind of like stepping up and progressively into like harder regulation. Like Chrome, Google's Android mobile operating system serves as an important access point for search. Losing Android, Singh says, would really hit them in the gut, since it's where Google gets so much of its mobile distribution. It would put its dominance in search up for grabs in a new way. The only silver lining here for Alphabet is the DOJ is talking about a forced sale of Chrome and not Android, says Singh. The operating system is way more important than anything else for a tech company, he says. The operating system is the core of distribution. I agree with that. I think Android just would be a much bigger deal. Even if the DOJ gets everything else it wants, Google isn't likely to fall out of its position as a big tech company. As long as they have their crown jewels like YouTube and Android and Google Search, as long as they're part of one entity, they will always be among the best companies. Yep. I think just as long as they have YouTube and Android, like just that alone. But to be fair, YouTube isn't really profitable, I don't think, actually. Like, they make a lot of money from it, but I think it's still not necessarily profitable just because video costs a lot to distribute. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. This is a long one. This is quite the saga. But I'll continue covering this because it's interesting times. All right, time to stand. Ugh. Dragging on the wall. All right. Speaking of ads, this is interesting. We got two like different headlines for the same top story. Yeah, I think this is inevitable. Perplexity, you know, the Google search competitor, AI competitor, they're going to start adding in ads, and I think they with search or Perplexity shopping, sorry, their shopping kind of already does, where they're gonna, you know, promote products from advertisers. It's really just the easiest way to make money. And I think, though, it's interesting because, you know, as these startups have more politics in play because they have venture capitalists who funded the company, who usually like sits on their board, has a lot of influence. You know, they could kind of dangle more money or other things in front of them to be profitable quicker, or go down a route that they wouldn't otherwise have if they didn't take this venture capital money, i.e. advertising. And I feel like it's kind of the, not poison, but once you kind of go down that route, it's kind of, you can't really come back out of it because it's easy money. And as soon as you start making money like that, the venture capitalists kind of start frothing at the mouth, and, you know, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, their principles of the company or founder are kind of out the window, because they'll oust. I don't know. It's, you know, I think that it's like it's like either IPO, get acquired, naturally, you know, go into a business, you know, or a business plan, a business model that like makes money. Or if you're struggling to actually make money and your original plan didn't go out, it's advertising. And like, those are kind of the options. You know, like ChatGPT, you know, OpenAI has the ChatGPT Premium for $20. And then they have, you could buy, you know, they make money from the API from people using like their services for their products, you know, using their OpenAI's models. You know, they have their DALL-E, their image generation. They have Sora now, the video generation, and they have their GPTs, their, you know, large language models. And then they have some other services like the assistants and functions and such, but that's how they make their money. But with how expensive it actually is now to continue to train and develop large language models, it's not really sustainable. While they are making, you know, I don't know if they actually say it, but, you know, they made like $4 billion or something. Like, they need to make way more for how much money they're raising and kind of their ambitions. It's just not really an option here to play the small games. And so I think that they are going to go down the advertising route in ChatGPT, for either free customers, or they're gonna play around with their plans and make more plans. You know, more tiered plans, and have the free version probably have ads, or even a next up version, like a mid-tier version, have ads, but you could, you know, do other things. I wouldn't be surprised if that would be out of the or if that's kind of the route they're going down. But yeah, let's read this real quick. We'll get some more opinions. And I feel like, though, right now their free version, it's kind of subsidizing their training, because I assume with the free version they're collecting a lot more data. I think you could opt out of that, right? It's also nice you can just go to chat.com now since they bought that. Settings, security, no. Data controls, improve the model for everyone. Okay, I turned that off. Okay, so I have that off and I'm on the free, so okay, never mind. But I was assuming that, I guess, like, I assume the free is like a beta testing, that you could just like kind of put whatever they want on there to like test things out, because it's free. It's like, you can't really argue with that, but it still costs them money, though. In $20 a month, especially for people who are paying for ChatGPT, I'm sure they're using it much more, which, you know, I don't think that the $20 covers probably all of their actual cost. I think, you know, I think there's a portion that is using way more than $20 worth of ChatGPT. But yeah, okay, let's just continue here. ChatGPT could eventually bake in ads, OpenAI CFO says. OpenAI is weighing a decision to implement ads in ChatGPT, the company told the Financial Times. Sarah Fryer, OpenAI's chief financial officer, said the company is thinking about putting ads in ChatGPT to support its cost, which would likely be for non-paying customers. Fryer told the paper that there are no active plans to move into advertising just yet. She did say that if ads eventually end up in the app, then the company will be thoughtful about where it places them. And I do wonder too about if OpenAI would use something like AdSense, which is, you know, ran by Google, to run their ad platform versus like building the ad, like their ad platform themselves. And like, that's, you know, Google's their competitor right now with Gemini, so I wonder if wonder how that would be. And I see, like, I wonder if Google could collect data, could see data coming from OpenAI and like take that and use it in a way because they have ads on there. In the interview, Fryer told Financial Times that she and OpenAI's chief product officer, Kevin Weil, have experience when it comes to advertising. She pointed out that the CPO came over from Instagram and knows how to implement ads, which could be useful knowledge for OpenAI. I wonder, like, what that knowledge is. Like, what do you mean, like, use to implement ads? Like, just like add a you know, bar on the side or top or bottom and like slap the ads in there. The AI company also recently hired Shivakumar Venkataraman. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. From Google's search advertising team. This could further help AI to make money via ads. This could further help AI to make money via ads. I don't know about that. An unnamed source who spoke to the Financial Times said that Sam Altman, head at OpenAI, is warming up to the idea of deploying ads. Yeah. You see, Sam Altman used to run Y Combinator, one of these large venture capital firms, so he knows what the outcomes are. He knows what it has to be. You know, OpenAI is probably eventually IPOing, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if they do that even sooner to raise money. But he knows, like, I'm sure he's warming up to it because he's realizing that he's not seeing, profitability anytime soon, and he needs to make money. Like, that's the realistic take, probably. Currently, OpenAI monetizes AI through its API, which lets third-party developers deploy its models to their apps. There's also the premium version of ChatGPT that individuals and businesses can purchase for a fairly hefty sum, $20 a month. Yeah, they do have the team version of ChatGPT too, which for businesses, so that's also a consideration. But again, if you're, arguably, they're probably using more than that, the $20 worth. Especially as a business, if you're using it for business. Many of the company's users don't pay a penny but are restricted to how many prompts they can send to GPT-4o before getting pushed onto GPT-4o Mini, a less resource-intensive model that still performs very well. For anybody dreading the idea of ads in ChatGPT, Fryer says ads may not land just yet because there's low-hanging fruit the company can exploit to raise money, but eventually we should expect to see ads. Yeah, it sucks. Let's take the alternative look at this. Seems like it's like a different narrative here. Same source though. Financial Times interview. OpenAI has no immediate plans for ChatGPT advertising. Is OpenAI discussing plans for an ad model? Maybe, but don't expect advertising to appear in ChatGPT anytime soon. Don't expect advertising anytime soon in OpenAI products, including ChatGPT and ChatGPT search. Although it's possible OpenAI will add ads in the future of its to its AI engine, nothing is imminent. What OpenAI is saying, according to OpenAI's chief financial officer Sarah Fryer, our current business is experiencing rapid growth and we see significant opportunity within our existing business model. While we're open to exploring other revenue streams in the future, we have no active plans to pursue advertising. Fryer didn't entirely dismiss advertising as a potential revenue stream. OpenAI will be thoughtful about when and where to implement advertising, according to Financial Times. The report noted that OpenAI has hired former advertising talent from Google, Meta, and elsewhere. I mean, yeah, they're... I mean, yeah, I don't know. It seems like that they're just going to add ads and they're just slowly, they're like kind of like trying to be the good guys. Like, I don't know, we don't want to, but you know, like we're just growing really fast and like, you know, we need to make money. Ads are momentary. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is no fan of ads. He calls internet ads a momentary industry in an interview last year. Wow. I kind of hate ads just as an aesthetic choice. I think ads need to happen on the internet for a bunch of reasons to get it going, but it's a momentary industry. The world is richer now. I like that people pay for ChatGPT and know the answers they're getting are not influenced by advertisers. I'm sure there's an ad unit that makes sense for LLMs, and I'm sure there's a way to participate in the transaction stream in an unbiased way that is okay to do. But it's also easy to think about the dystopic visions of the future where you ask ChatGPT something and it says, oh, you should think about buying this product, or you should think about going here for your vacation or whatever. Okay, Sam Altman, we're going to hold you to this because this is exactly the way I see, you know, a corporation that is for profit running an LLM. Like, that's so funny. This is the cyberpunk, you know, dystopia version. Perplexity already has this. They already literally, I wonder if this is a hit at him. When was this interview? This is March. This is exactly what Perplexity is doing. And I don't know, we have a very simple business model and I like it. And I know that I'm not the product. I know I'm paying, and that's how the business model works. And when I go use Twitter or Facebook or Google or any of these other great products, but ad supported great products, I don't love that. And I think it gets worse, not better, in a world with AI. I mean, I agree, man. That's you know, at least he kind of says that, but now it's, you know, it's keeping your spine and like following through on that and not going down the route, which it seems like that eventually, you know, we're going to go down the ads route. So why we care? OpenAI and its new search product are a blip compared to Google search. However, that blip is growing. If that momentum continues and its user base grows, ChatGPT could pose a potential threat to Google in time. However, no quote Google killer search engine has been able to get people to break their Google search habit yet. Enshittification. I love that word. Like Altman, many people believe Google and other platforms have declined due to the inevitable enshittification of their products. This happens when a platform shifts its focus from the user experience to maximizing profit via advertising. And I mean, like, that's exactly what I was saying before. It's like, it's, you know, it consumes the company and it just goes down a different route than if they were to not and actually just like build a product that people pay for. Yeah, I don't know. As OpenAI is transitioning into a for-profit company, it still doesn't have any significant search market share. That said, ChatGPT referral traffic is growing. Yeah, but also I thought they're releasing a completely separate search product called Search GPT in the future. I feel like the search ChatGPT accessing the internet in the way they do now is like insignificant. Like I would not compare that to a search engine really. Like I feel like it's like more of a tool to grab factual information, but not necessarily as like a search engine. Like I wouldn't put the same things in a search engine as I would into like a ChatGPT with like access to the web. I don't know, but that's just how I use it. I'm sure other people use it differently. If ChatGPT keeps growing, advertisers will no doubt want to reach those users. Perhaps OpenAI will be watching to see whether Perplexity's sponsored follow-up question ad model succeeds. Yep, and so that's, yeah, Perplexity going down that route. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know how much information that they'll share, but Perplexity, but I'm sure we'll know if it does good. We'll say that. If it does good, we'll know. Because I want to tout that. Yeah, interesting. So I don't know. I definitely think ads are going to come to ChatGPT. As much as Sam Altman says he hates them, getting more people to pay for your product, unless you actually keep improving it, which they have, or adding more value to it. Yeah, I don't know. I think they should just continue to add more value and just raise subscription prices to not go down the ad route. But you also have to consider that the paid users are kind of subsidizing the free users, and so you have to factor that cost in as well. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting times for OpenAI, ChatGPT. We'll look at this. This is a kind of a quick story, but it's about ChatGPT. What's this here? It says how ChatGPT maker OpenAI uses customers' data. What OpenAI knows about you. Ugh. OpenAI uses some customer information to power ChatGPT and other services, but like other AI providers, it relies heavily on publicly available information scraped from the internet to train its generative models. The big picture. The company behind ChatGPT, originally a nonprofit, now gradually transforming itself into a more traditional startup, has been relatively clear about how it uses customer data. Like most of its competitors, however, it doesn't tell the world exactly what data its models have been trained on. Yeah, we know some information, but yeah, it's pretty broad, abstract, I guess. In our ongoing series on what AI knows about you, Axios is looking at company by company at ways tech giants are using and aren't using their customer information to develop and improve their products and how users can opt out. That's cool. Today, AI developers don't face any requirements to divulge the exact sources of their training data, but under various privacy laws, they do have to reveal what customer data they collect and how they use it. Yeah, unfortunately, being in California, we have the California Consumer Privacy Act, which if we could request our data and we could see what they have on us. And considering OpenAI and all these other AI companies are actually based out of California, they definitely have to comply with that. Zoom in. OpenAI, like most AI providers, makes strong distinctions between business customers and general consumers. By default, ChatGPT Enterprise, ChatGPT Team, and ChatGPT EDU customer data is not used to train models. Interesting. I didn't even know they had an EDU version. It's like, oh, great. Okay, so just us normal consumers, because we don't have the bargaining power, essentially, of large corporations. The same goes for those using OpenAI services via an application programming interface API. API customers can choose to share data with OpenAI to improve and train future models. Consumers, both free and paid, can easily control whether they contribute to improve and train future models in their settings. Yeah, which easy to turn off. Yeah. Simple as this. In the settings, data controls, improve the model for everyone. Nah. Call me selfish. Temporary chats in ChatGPT are not used to train AI models and are automatically deleted after 30 days. I don't even know what temporary chats are. I honestly haven't been using ChatGPT that much. I just use the alternatives, or I use that API locally. For GPTs, custom versions of ChatGPT that developers can build for others to use, there is an opt-out option for the builder of custom GPT, allowing them to decide whether their proprietary data can be used by OpenAI for model training. Apple also has an arrangement with OpenAI to access ChatGPT through Apple Intelligence, coming with iOS 18.2 and updated versions of the Mac and iPad OS. Yeah, just Apple Intelligence, I guess. Yeah, like... I wonder what data they collect. For those who don't log into their ChatGPT Plus accounts, these Apple Intelligence requests are not stored by OpenAI, and users' IP addresses are obscured. That's good. I just use Mistral AI is what I've been using, but just Perplexity, or I just use local models. But I've been using Mistral AI mainly. Mistral and Perplexity. I don't know, I think that theirs is good enough, but mainly it just has web search. It has everything built in and it's free. You still use ChatGPT exclusively and Perplexity for just, yeah. I use ChatGPT to help with a short I made the other day, but I also use Mistral AI. But yeah, I'm not really opposed to it. I just like using the underdogs and the alternatives. But yeah. I just haven't really been keeping up with like kind of ChatGPT's like features too, and I just need to like spend some time and like learn it a little bit more. Yeah, tech hipster, yeah, call me that. But I also do think OpenAI is essentially just kind of becoming like they're already a big tech company in my opinion, and like I just see the downfalls of that are just going to kind of slowly start to happen, like we're kind of talking about with advertising and such. And so while they may have some morals now, I think it's going to go downhill. So I don't know. I just want to invest in and learn some alternatives just as OpenAI kind of goes down this more corporate big tech route. I don't know, but I use it every once in a while still too. So yeah, I'm not opposed to using it. I guess I also just haven't. I don't pay for it anymore either, so I just want to use the best like free option right now. Yeah. Yeah, so Apple doesn't, so if you don't log into your ChatGPT, their ChatGPT Plus account, you have to use a ChatGPT Plus. Interesting. For those who do link a paid ChatGPT Plus account with Apple Intelligence, OpenAI's standard privacy policy apply. Microsoft also makes heavy use of OpenAI services to power its mini copilots, with its privacy policies applying as we laid out previously in the series. All right. OpenAI, which faces an array of legal actions from authors, newspapers, and other publishers who say the company made illegal use of their content, says it offers a number of options for creators to control how their data is used. First, OpenAI says it has an opt-out process for web publishers to prevent its GPT bot from accessing their sites for future training of its generative AI foundational models. Really? So, interesting. Oh yeah, robots.txt. But we actually covered this previously because Perplexity. A lot of people were adding Perplexity's bot. A lot of news publishers adding Perplexity's bot to their do not crawl kind of list on robots.txt. It has a separate bot, OAI search bot, that is used for ChatGPT's search function that crawlers use to help ChatGPT link to and surface websites in search results, but it's not used to train OpenAI's foundation models. Interesting. OpenAI says it tries to remove certain information that it doesn't want its models to learn from or output, such as sites that primarily aggregate personal information. That's good to know, I guess. It also takes a number of privacy protection steps to reduce processing of any incidental personal information. All right. I mean, like, I don't know. I guess this wasn't as interesting as I thought. There wasn't much here. Also, I never searched for myself on, or like asked ChatGPT if they know like my name or if I like came up in any search results. Yeah. All right. Let's a little look into that, I guess. Yeah, this one's an interesting one. Also, I really like this website Grist, kind of like a climate news site, and it's interesting. But let's take a look at this. How giant batteries in the earth could slash your electricity bills. Just look me up. Didn't know who I was. Okay. Let's close off some of these tabs. Oh, my Technomica newsletter? Oh, interesting. Pretty generic. All right, that's good. I'll look myself up. I'm curious. I'm just curious. Actually, I'm curious to look up like just like normal people, I guess like family members, just to see if they if anything pulls up. How Oh yeah, my Unsplash. Yeah, those are just essentially probably top search results if you're just to search my name. Like my website, LinkedIn, Keybase. Wrong personal information. Tom Brady. All right, okay. How giant batteries in the earth could slash electricity bills. We're wasting too much of the clean energy we generate. Reservoirs, caverns can store excess solar and wind power. Yeah, and I think Sacramento here, SMUD is actually paying people to put like Tesla Powerwall batteries in their house, probably for the same reason. I think now that, you know, we have a good spread of renewables, like a reasonable spread. Like I think natural gas and coal and everything is probably still the majority, but now that we have a more spread of like wind and solar, more intermittent power, being able to store it when we don't need it, I think is kind of a different problem that we're running into as a result of building a bunch of intermittent renewables. In incentivizing people to kind of make it, incentivizing, you know, more urban areas to distribute the storage of it via like, you know, houses essentially, take some strain off the grid too. I think that's probably another reason. Is just that I guess it's just a different strategy, but it seems like here this is kind of the old like alternative battery storage type of stuff. So yeah, we'll see. Solar panels and wind turbines give the world bountiful energy, but come with a conundrum. When it's sunny and windy out, in many places these renewables produce more electricity than is actually needed at the time. Then when the sun isn't shining and wind isn't blowing, those renewables provide little to no electricity when it's sorely needed. Yeah, it's intermittent. So for the grid of tomorrow, to go to 100% renewable, it needs to store a lot more energy. You probably heard about giant lithium-ion batteries stockpiling that energy for later use, but when providing backup power, even a big battery bank will usually drain in 4 hours. And you know, there's degradation over time with lithium-ion batteries. The need for an alternative has the United States government, researchers, and startups scrambling to develop more long-duration energy storage that can provide a minimum of 10 hours of backup, often by using reservoirs, caverns, and other parts of the landscape as batteries. And so maybe I'm assuming that then it's more like just a hydro battery, like a reservoir, just essentially, pumping water up and downhill when electricity is cheap, and when we have it, that's kind of acting as a battery. Yeah, I'm curious because like the caverns would actually act as a good natural place to like store water, I guess. Although pumping it out of a cavern, that could have other issues. But yeah, let's just continue reading. A new study from several universities and national labs in the United States and Canada shows that large-scale deployments of long-duration energy storage isn't just feasible, but essential for renewables to reach their full potential and would even cut utility bills. Calling them batteries isn't really accurate, though. Yeah, I guess what the hydro stuff. Like, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess like in the simple terms, I would say it's battery, but yeah, I don't know what the actual proper terminology is. It looks specifically at Western interconnections, a chunk of the grid that includes the Western U.S. and Canada, plus a bit of Northern Mexico. The study found that building more long-duration energy storage there would reduce electricity prices by more than 70% in times of high demand. Interesting. It's like an orchestra, said Patricia Hidalgo Gonzalez, Director of Renewable Energy and Advanced Mathematics Laboratory at University of California, San Diego, and co-author of the paper published last month in the journal Nature Communications. We need to think about all these factors, how they work, but bringing in more storage can only help in making this more cost-effective. The technology already exists to hold renewable energy for at least half a day, with more on the way. Half a day, yeah, it's not that good. One technique is known as pump storage hydropower. Yeah, it's exactly what I was explaining. When the grid is humming with renewable power, a facility pumps water uphill into a reservoir. Then when solar or wind drops off, the facility lets water loose, flowing back down into another reservoir, turning turbines that produce electricity. It's exploiting energy from the wind and sun along with the power of gravity. And this is like all of the other, like these alternative, like energy storage options, like the cranes lifting like concrete blocks and shit, like it's all trying to replicate this like pumped hydro storage like architecture, I guess, or blueprint, but they're just like nothing really is like as efficient, I guess, just as that. But pumped hydropower just takes significant amounts of like space and land. I guess I wonder if that's more of but that's like a better measurement. Because yeah, if it could be a little bit less efficient but take up significantly less space like that, the ratios I feel like could still be good. Battery storage on its own, or what people call short duration energy storage, is very important, said Martin Stadecker, an energy systems researcher at Massachusetts Institute of Technology and lead co-author of the new study. But you can't just rely on lithium-ion batteries because it would be very expensive to have enough to actually provide power for an entire week. Yeah, I don't even know. I wonder what the largest cluster of lithium-ion batteries we have is for storage. As of 2022, the U.S. had 43 pumped storage hydropower facilities with a combined generation capacity of 22 gigawatts. For perspective, the U.S. has around 150 gigawatts of wind power and 140 gigawatts of solar. Dang, so it's not even close. So ideally, we would have probably, I'm sure there's some ratio that we'd want for total renewables to energy storage. According to the Department of Energy, the U.S. has the potential to double its capacity for that kind of energy storage. In 2021, the Biden administration launched its long-duration storage shot, part of the Energy Earthshots initiative, aiming to reduce the cost of the technology by 90% in a decade. And last year, it announced $325 million for 15 long-duration energy storage projects, including one that stores heat energy in concrete, and others to make newfangled batteries made of iron, water, and air. Stored in concrete? Stores heat energy in concrete. That's interesting. Because I guess concrete kind of like an insulator, I guess, or something. That's interesting. Geothermal energy. Yeah, you're right. Interesting. Yeah, geothermal is actually that's not really talked about as like a renewable, just like digging down and like using the earth, like Earth's heat and stuff. Yeah, that's a good point. Geothermal, yeah. It's like we need to figure out how to like use like volcanoes, like a large radiant flooring. Is that like the heated floors, or is that like a something for like energy generation? Water heating your slab. Interesting. So like heating like your house foundation electrically, yeah. Yeah, because I guess I'm sure that actually just just heats the house. You know, if you like, it warms the house up itself. That's interesting. Interesting. Yeah, and I'm sure that like it doesn't fluctuate. Yeah, it's like it like keeps it the same. I'm sure where it's like frozen and like, you know, house foundations like are more likely to crack and stuff. I wonder if that like helps it. Like keep the moisture out. Your new place has a system built in the 70s. Still works still. That's crazy. That's cool. Yeah, it's like, I guess if it works, that's cool. I wonder like how much it would cost to like retrofit a house with that. I'm sure it'd be, or if you even could. I'm sure maybe if you have one of those like crawl space houses or something. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. That's cool though. Not too bad. I mean, it might be a high upfront cost, but save you over time. Electrical ones that don't require you to tear concrete. Oh, I see. Electrical ones. That's cool. Yeah, it's an interesting technology. Interesting. Yeah, I need to bring that back. All right. It's like thin layer that goes under the flooring. I see. Interesting. Yeah, that seems not that bad. Like you're getting new floors, like, you know, just throw this in. Okay. Let me shoot this shorts. All right. The researchers looked at long-duration energy storage without considering the particular technique involved, asking what would be the cheapest way to get the Western interconnection to be 100% emissions-free. Their study found that long-duration energy storage would be particularly beneficial to a utility's customers, reducing electricity costs in times of high demand on the grid. Like that in late afternoon, as people return home and switch on appliances at the same time, that solar power on the grid is waning. More storage also means more backup power for ever hotter heat waves when the whole region flicks on their AC units. Yeah, I definitely think it could help with like the grid strain too. Assuming that more like individual households have batteries that they can pull from. Companies are figuring out how to store energy underground too. A company called Hydroster based in Toronto, Canada, uses excess renewable energy on the grid to pump compression air into subterranean caverns filled with water. Okay, so see, this is here now we get to the fucking like questionable alternative energy storage solutions. I have not heard this one. I have seen compressed air ones, but where they store it in like tanks, but not into water, not filled with water. Okay, sorry. Anyways, companies are figuring out how to store energy underground too. A company called Hydroster, based in Toronto, Canada, uses excess renewable energy on the grid to pump compressed air into subterranean caverns filled with water. That forces the water above ground into a reservoir. When the grid needs electricity, Hydroster lets that water flow back into the chamber, pushing the air back to the surface to drive turbines. We're kind of creating a piston underground of water, said John Norman, president of Hydroster. We're actually building a cavity out of using techniques that they use in hydrocarbon storage industries to store propane and butane. Wow, this one I've not heard of. I imagine the caves aren't airtight. Like, yeah, cave-ins. Yeah, right. Yeah, so, okay, so they force the water above ground into a reservoir by pumping it with air. When the grid needs electricity, the hydro lets the water flow back into the chamber, pushing the air back into the surface drive turbines. See, essentially, they're just trying to create a hydro, you know, like large hydro storage, just in different ways. Compressed air, like I wonder what the like efficiency ratio, like what's their R squared or something compared to like pumped hydro. Yeah, I don't know about that one. This one, interesting. There was another one, it was one of the first I saw where they actually are using old mines to drop a weight down like the mine shaft to like, you know, spin a turbine, and then they would use, you know, the cheaper excess to pull it back up, and then, you know, during times of peak they would let the weight go to kind of get that electricity, which is essentially the same. They're all the same concepts, I guess, just different ways to generate the energy. If a region runs low on renewable power, like when the sun sets, it would have to import carbon-free electricity from elsewhere. What? But that requires transmission lines that cut through hundreds or thousands of miles of land, which are difficult to get approved and expensive to build. The new study found that it would cost between $83 billion and $130 billion to deploy the amount of long-duration energy storage in the modeling, depending on how the price of the technology declines as it matures. That's crazy. That's so much money, actually. Granted, the government could snap their fingers and just do it, but yeah, that's interesting. And I can't like think of it in my head like how electricity is routed. Like I don't quite understand that. I need to look into that. With long duration energy storage, utilities can deploy more solar panels and wind turbines locally and store up their energy rather than having to ship it from somewhere else. Kevin Schneider, an electrical engineer who studies the grid at the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory but wasn't involved in the new research, said that could reduce the significant cost of building long distance transmission lines. Getting that flexibility in the system where you can have a reservoir of electricity that you can store up and then release, that's what allows us to not have to build as much infrastructure. Yeah, you can have a reservoir of electricity that you can store up and then release. That's what allows us not to have to build, yeah. And also be a little more resilient. The grid of tomorrow then may hum with renewable energy stored both in giant battery banks but also stored in the landscape itself. Solar and wind power would be wasted no more. Yeah, interesting. Oh, so this is Hydroster then, actually. This is it. I'm gonna look these guys up. Maybe these are the companies. This is the company that I thought I was thinking of. Let me look in it. I think it's in as link air. Found it. I linked it in Discord. Yes, these Terraform Industries converts electricity and air into. Oh wait, no, this is actually not it. This is not it. Oh dang it! This video is unavailable. I think this was it. Ogwind Energy. Yeah, this is it. Specializing in compression and expansion technologies for energy storage and energy efficient applications. Air battery. Oh, okay, they're doing the same system, it looks like, actually. Very similar. Do they have a video?
Is a fundamental element of the global shift to renewable energy sources. Ogwind's air battery unlocks the potential of energy storage at scale. This patented technology uses only water and air to store energy.
Okay, well, I mean, you already have competitors.
High capacity for a long duration in a safe, cost-effective manner. A true revolution for the energy marketplace. Let's take a look at how it works. These are our batteries. Large tanks made of unique polymers which reduce production and maintenance costs drastically. These proprietary tanks are installed underground through a simple process that takes just a few days.
That doesn't seem that simple, but okay.
The energy from an external energy source, whether directly from the grid or renewable energy, is used to power water pumps, one of the most energetically efficient tools ever created. The water flows into compression tanks, compressing the air at high pressure in a fully isothermal process. The isothermal balance is achieved thanks to two things. First, the massive amount of water functions as a huge cooling unit.
Oh, this is the
Second,
bars
the air
or something?
is compressed
Pressure?
slowly, so the air molecules don't move as rapidly as they do in common air compression methods. No heat is generated, and no energy is lost. The compressed air can be delivered to as many tanks as we want, and they serve as our
So
storage.
they create the air compression from pumping water into a tank. That's what they use to create the compressed air. That it just seems too complicated for it to be efficient. Like
Units. When energy is in demand, the compressed air is used to push water, the same water that is used for the air.
no way this is like what? There's no way this is efficient. Nuclear power. Yeah, exactly. And that seems to actually be the route we're going down. But arguably though, storage is still important. Like we still need storage though. But like, you know, using nuclear power to supplement with just using like existing technology, like I think that's probably like the best like way to kind of meet our goals, and then we could kind of figure it out more long term.
Through a hydroelectric turbine, again, a very efficient tool, and electricity is regenerated. While today, most common energy storage
true. Water is already in short supply. That's very true. And I mean, we could like, you could desalinate the water, but yeah, I think that's actually such a good point. Water is already in short supply. Using it for the power gen is just not useful in most of the world. I think that's true. And I think though it's also interesting and a testament to the shortest path we have to high amounts of power is nuclear power, and we see that, you know, big tech is kind of taking that route. They're they need power desperately to continue the training their AI models for their data centers, and they're going to the nuclear power. Like this, it's a renewable energy source technically, and also it produces huge amounts. There's just been no technological or not that much technological improvements over the years, so we need to play catch up. Yeah, that's so true though. The water's in short supply.
Rely on lithium batteries, which have a significant environmental impact and many techno-economical limitations. Air battery can run endless cycles for decades with no degradation at minimum expense. It's completely eco-friendly and can be implemented under functional areas with minimal environmental footprint. It's modular, scalable, and quickly installed.
Bro, 8 megawatts is nothing. Oh my, bro. 8 megawatts is nothing. That's definitely not worth it. 8 megawatts? No way. That seems like not even worth it.
Enabling long duration storage.
Use this scale down with ferrofluids and magnets. I'm sure that's good. That's interesting. I feel like there's quite a using the same pattern. I feel like you could do an interesting combinations, but I just wonder if still what's actually efficient. Where do we lose the least amount in storage?
Simply by adding more air tanks.
Okay, bro, imagine. I don't believe them that this maintenance is minimal. I having this many pumps and shit, just statistically you're bound to have failures and stuff. When you're dealing with this many, I don't believe them.
Thanks. This is a whole new era for renewable energy. Air battery. Energy storage reinvented.
Yeah, I don't know about this, you guys. Oh, here we go. This is this guy actually does a lot of
we can't control the weather.
Renewable stuff. Undecided Matt Farrell is cool. It seems like he actually covered the the Hydroster, yeah. Okay, let's look at their website actually real quick.
HydroStore develops large-scale, long-duration
Some of those basic corporate voiceover
energy storage that is essential to powering renewable energy progress. Using an emission-free, patented technology,
That's what the other guy said too.
HydroStore's advanced compressed air energy storage, or ACASE, ensures
Oh my gosh.
clean energy supply when it is most needed.
All right, catch you later. Thanks for tuning in, man. Thank you. Have a good day. See you.
ACASE is highly scalable, capable of powering hundreds of thousands of homes.
Okay, this one already though, 500 megawatts, that's a bit larger scale. We're talking tens of megawatts with the other one, so
can be built as standalone storage,
but also looks like it's significantly larger footprint.
Or co-located with wind and solar generation. So how does it work? When excess renewable energy is available, instead of going to waste, it is used to charge an ACASE facility, which spins compressors that produce heated, compressed air. The heat is extracted and stored above ground.
Interesting. So this one uses heat, whereas the other one's actually touted not using or generating any heat, which could, I'm sure is harder to manage, cause more degradation and such.
Cool compressed air is then pushed underground into a water-filled rock cavern. As compressed air enters the cavern, water is displaced and lifted into a surface reservoir. At this stage, the ACASE battery is charged, safely storing potential energy as compressed air and heat. HydroStore's facilities are 100% charged when the cavern is filled entirely with air. When energy is required, such as periods of low wind or solar production, the process is reversed. Using gravity, water from the reservoir flows into the cavern, pushing air back to the surface. The air is reheated and used to spin turbines that generate electricity. ACASE is emission-free and does not rely on hard-to-recover sources. leveraging existing supply chains, labor, and equipment that is widely deployed in the conventional energy industry.
Yeah, these ones, there's hard because they're also theoretical that like there's other variables and factors that once you actually deploy it, you realize there's, you know, problems that you didn't really think about or need to solve. And so, yeah, backed by Goldman Sachs Asset Management, Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board. All right. Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. And how, are they like, have they even started making one? Like, it was interesting, but anyways. Yeah. These I'm very bearish. I don't think that these are going to solve our battery storage or like storage issue. These like alternative stuff, these potential energy type of like batteries. I just think pumped hydro is just like you can't beat it, and realistically we should just probably invest more in that if we can. If not, the kind of distributing it more to individuals, houses, like incentivizing them to get local or like, you know, battery storage on their premise. Granted, again, like unfortunately there's unfortunately Tesla battery wall is probably one of the only options there, so I don't know what other big players there are unless you want to DIY it, which you definitely can, but most people don't. So yeah, anyways, this is interesting. I might cover these more alternative energy sources on here because I do think they're creative and interesting, but it's kind of just like it's like all ice cream but different flavors. So yeah, just pick your flavor. Oh, but that's all I got planned for today though. I had this one, but this is kind of like more of an opinion type. But yeah, make sure to subscribe to YouTube, posting more on there, trying to continue just trying to make more videos on there to draw people to the stream. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Gonna be live tomorrow 9 a.m. again. 9 a.m. is gonna kind of be the new time for now. I think it's 10 a.m. was too late. I didn't like 10 a.m. 8 a.m. was a little early, so we're just gonna go in between with 9 a.m. and see how that goes. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to YouTube, and yeah, tomorrow 9 a.m. be back here. So thanks for watching. Ending.